know what to do with these. Can everybody hear me? Okay. No? Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy, and I'm an addict. And I hate microphones. What can I say? I don't know. I guess I need to start off by saying I've been carrying around a lot of anxiety today, running from a lot of my nervousness. And, you know, this is a good place for me to dump that stuff. I'm real nervous. And hopefully I'll get over it, you know, and everything will be okay. When I got asked to share, my experience and the strength and the hope that I get from this program. And that's all I've got today. I don't know, you know, I think my story, my using story, is a lot like everybody else's out there. You know, and I guess for me, when I give a lead, you know, I need to talk about the feelings more than the dope. And, you know, the recovery that I've gotten from this program. I got to this program like a lot of other people through desperation, loneliness, and a whole hell of a lot of fear. Most of my life, I've been stuffing feelings like I was today. You know, I remember real early on in my life, the first biggie thing that happened in my life was my parents getting a divorce, you know. And I remember not being able to cry and not being able to show the anger that I felt and the hurt that I felt and the hate that I felt. So I just stuffed it and put on that nice mask that I carry around in my back pocket and said it was okay with me and everything was fine. And it wasn't. And through my life and through my addiction, I did that on a continual basis. And when I got to this program, I had a lot of stuff, you know, all built up inside, just like a lot of other people I know. And it was nice to know when I got to this program that I wasn't alone with that stuff. And I think my addiction took the natural course of events, you know. I started using it at a real early age, and I used more, and I used more, and I used more, and my life got worse and worse and worse. I remember right before I went into treatment, I experienced that feeling of thinking I was crazy and there was no way to come back, and there was no way out. And that was the way that I would always be. And I didn't know that it had anything to do with dope. I didn't know it had anything to do with addiction. And I sure didn't know what I had to do about it. I happened to make a phone call one day and got a hold of my stepfather, who at the time, and still is, a recovering person. And he told me he would come and pick me up and we'd take a ride and he'd take me someplace that could help me. And at that time in my life, I didn't really care what it was, where it was, who it was. I just wanted out. And I wanted to feel better. So I came, picked me up, and took me to a treatment center. And when I was in that treatment center, when I went in for my interview, they asked me why I was there. You know, and I said, well, I don't know. I don't have any money. I feel real crazy. I don't have a place to go. I don't have any friends, no money. I don't have nothing. Is that a good enough reason? And they said, yeah, you know, right down the hall, room 360. You know, so that's where I went. I believe today that I had hit my bottom enough that I was ready to stay clean. But I wasn't really ready to recover. And I wasn't really ready to change, and I wasn't really ready to grow. I wasn't ready to take a real heavy-duty look at myself. And unfortunately, that went on for the majority of my recovery, or my clean time. When I was in treatment, I was kind of like the ideal patient, you know. I did everything they told me to do. I worked steps 1 through 5 in 30 days, you know. And I thought I was real thorough, and I had dumped all that stuff. The fact of it was that I carried that stuff with me until about 6 months ago. I don't know, I got out of treatment, and I experienced all that fear of what's it going to be like out there, and how can I stay clean. And there were some things suggested to me, to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, to get a sponsor, to call an addict every day, and to stay out of relationships for the first year of my recovery. I went to 90 meetings in 90 days, and that's all I did. And, it's a real good title for this convention, Miracles Do Happen. I didn't do the things that were suggested to me, but somehow, by the grace of my higher power, I stayed clean all that time. I stayed real fucking miserable, but I was clean. Real early on in my clean time, I was about a month and a half clean, and I decided, Wendy, that I was going to get into a relationship. I decided I didn't need a sponsor because I didn't need anybody on a daily basis telling me what to do. And I didn't need to call anybody because I'd be okay by myself. I thought I could do it alone. And I didn't want to have anything to do with a higher power. I didn't understand it. I wasn't willing to understand it, and I wasn't willing to try it. The relationship that I got into was a lot of my recovery for a lot of my clean time. I depended on that person to keep me clean. I depended on that person to always pick me up when I felt bad. I depended on that person to take my inventory and be my sponsor and everything else. And I didn't grow very much, and I didn't change very much. I chose, for a lot of my recovery, to stay the way I was. And I lived in a whole lot of fear during that time, because I was so afraid to be anybody different than what I had been. I didn't know what else there was. I didn't know there were good things on top of the bad things. I didn't know if I could just let go of some of those character defects, that there was a good person under there. And I also didn't know that if I could, if I just latched onto a higher power, that I'd get some of that strength that I needed so bad, and I'd get rid of some of that fear, and I'd feel some of that love that I feel today, and I would feel okay. I didn't know that, and I didn't want to know it. I was so used to being miserable that it just got to be too comfortable for me. And I had some people in my life at that time that, told me, well, you're being real self-centered today, but that's all right. It wasn't okay. And I stayed a real con and a manipulator. And it really sucked. I was real unhappy. But I stuffed that unhappiness and took my mask out of my back pocket and put on that happy face and continued to be what I thought everybody wanted to be, and continued to say all the things that I thought everybody wanted me to say. I put out a lot of bullshit in my recovery around those tables. And I'm the only one who suffered from it. And I thank my higher power that I don't regret it today. I can't remember. I remember the first time that I heard about addiction. This man sitting over here was the first person that had the guts to sit down with me and say, you know, you're not doing the things you need to be doing, and you're not understanding what addiction is. You know, you can't just take away the dope and everything's going to be okay. You know, you have to do a little bit of work. You know, and I just kind of looked at him and said, yeah, and put up my walls and started fighting. But there must have been some little cracks in those walls, you know, because a little bit of what he said kind of snuck through, and I remembered it a little bit later. I always wonder, you know, sometimes I sit and think, you know, how did I stay clean all that time? Lacking all the things I was lacking. And I know today that my higher power was carrying me a lot of that time. And I was doing just enough and hanging on just enough, you know, that I kept coming back. And all my friends were here, you know. And that was really important to me. I was real accepted, and I was real liked, and that was important, but I wasn't being who I really was. I went to my first out-of-town function to a traditions workshop in Ohio, and I didn't want anything to do with service work, so I didn't know what the hell I was doing there anyway. But I wanted to go, you know, so we went. And at that workshop, you know, was the first day where I started to recover just a little bit and started to get some honesty and some of that open-mindedness and a little bit of willingness to start trying all the things that I had never tried. Some people sat down with me. I was in a first traditions workshop, I think it was, and I was really putting up a fight against what everybody was saying. And, you know, someone after the meeting took me aside, and I think he's out there somewhere, and he took me aside and he said, Wendy, you know, it's okay, keep coming back. And, you know, I kind of turned around and I thought, where's he coming from? I've been around this amount of time, and he doesn't have to tell me to keep coming back. But I needed to be told, you know. And I learned at that time, too, you know, that it's quality and not quantity. And I know that today. I learned a lot at that workshop. And I got real frightened at that workshop. I started to realize that I needed to start taking a look at me, and I needed to start getting in touch with a higher power, and I needed to start, you know, standing on my own 2 feet, and I needed to start being who I was, and I needed to start recovering from my addiction. And I'm real grateful today to know that my addiction, you know, isn't the dope. You know, that my addiction is me. And all those crummy character defects that go along with me. And that those are the things that I need to work on today. And those are the reasons that I need to go to meetings today. And those are the reasons that I need to talk to that other addict today and have a sponsor today. Because it started to become apparent to me then that my addiction was taking a whole lot. And I hadn't taken any dope that day. And that was real scary for me, real confusing for me. But a lot of people gave me a lot of love, you know, and they told me it would be okay, that I had to keep on trying and keep being open-minded. And about, the second year of my recovery, I went on like a self-destruction type thing with myself. I started getting up in the morning and, as my sponsor, I think today would call it, getting up in the morning and nailing that bitch up against the wall and beating her to death, every morning. Because I was so disappointed in myself. And I didn't know why I didn't have what I saw these other people have. And I didn't know why I wasn't happy. And I didn't know why I didn't feel any love. And I didn't know why I didn't want to give shit, And I didn't know why I was still self-centered. And I found out the hard way, like I find everything out. Still today, sometimes it takes a real swift kick in the ass to wake me up and make me take a look. So I went through some real severe reality shocks that second year. And I started to feel like I wasn't doing God's will for me. And I was kind of sitting around waiting for a note to float out of the sky and fall down in front of me, and so it would say, Monday, Wendy, this is what you're supposed to do today. These are the decisions you should make, and this is how you should act. And it never happened, and I got real scared, because I know today that I don't know what to do, and I don't know what to say. So anyway, I went through all this weird stuff with beating myself, and I met some people I used to live in Wisconsin, up in Wisconsin, at a regional meeting they were having, and they had a dance the night before, and I was sharing with someone how miserable I felt and how scared I was and all that stuff, and he told me, Wendy, why don't you just get down on your knees? Pray for some strength, and pray for some courage, and pray for some acceptance. And I said, oh yeah, okay, yeah, right, sure, I'll do it. I wanted to do it real bad, but not bad enough. I laid back on my bed, and was just looking up at the sky saying, give me some answers. I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to do with me today. And I'm real grateful for those people at that time being put in my life. Because the faith that they had, and the courage that they had, and the strength that they had, they were able to give a little bit of it to me, because I didn't have hardly any, and I needed some more. And, they were nice enough to share some of that with me. I went home that day, and I was engaged to be married at the time, and I went home, and it took about, I'm not real good with time, I think it took about a week, and I did finally get down on my knees and ask for the courage to do the right thing for me and do what I needed to do to help me get out of that, my shit. And I got up one morning and, I said, please pack your things and get out. Please give me some time, to know that I'm okay, and that just me and my higher power can make it. Because I didn't know that. I always had somebody else picking me up and, moving my legs and moving me around like a damn puppet. I always had that. And I didn't know what it was like not to have that, no matter who it was. So he moved out, and I got real scared. And I started getting down on my knees a lot. And just saying, please relieve me of myself. I ask that a lot today. I ask my higher power to relieve me of myself. The next week I moved out and moved to my mother's, and everyone was begging me to stay, and saying, Wendy, just hang around, just hang around, you can, you'll be okay here, just hang around, don't move away, don't leave. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had on my list of numbers out of people out of town, and I was ready to move, and I was ready to make some changes. And I was told at the time that I was running. And I don't know if that's true true today or not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me, I guess. And one night my phone rang, and the person on the other end of the phone said, I love you a whole lot, and you got a place to go if you need it. And you don't have to be afraid. You can stay there and be afraid. You can come here and be afraid. You can stay there and not grow. You can come here and not grow. But the offer's open to you. So you have a place to go, and you don't have to be afraid. And I hung up the phone, and I thought, man, I'm not alone. I don't have to deal with this stuff all alone. So a couple of days later, I said, well, I gave my week's notice at my job, and I'm leaving on Thursday. And for some reason, I didn't feel like I had made a snap decision. I had gotten on my knees, and for the first time in my life, I had prayed before I made a decision. I have a tendency to make a decision and pray about it afterwards, and say, well, I'm going to do this today, and then get down on my knees that night and say, God, please make it turn out okay. It wasn't working out real well. So this time I decided that I needed to pray before and go with my feelings. And my feelings told me that it was okay. And I believe that I get my feelings from my higher power. My feelings said, it's okay, Wendy. This is something that you need to do. So the day before I moved down to Indiana, I called the person that I was going to be living with and said, I'm not coming, that's it, forget it, I'm not coming. And he said, well, okay, that's all right, don't come. And I hung up the phone, and I thought, well, wow, I thought he begged me to come and said, come on, don't be afraid, come on. But he gave me that room that I needed to make that decision. So I went home that night from work, and I prayed about it some more and said, if it's your will for me to make this decision, please let me know when I get up in the morning. And I got up at 7 a.m. and packed my car full of everything I owned, and I moved to Indiana. And that's worked out real well. I've done some real growing, and it's not Indiana. It came from my higher power, and from other addicts sharing with me. I moved down here, and for about the first month I was here, people knew that I was going through a lot of big changes and everything, and they said, well, Wendy, everything's going to be okay. Well, after that month got up, they said, Wendy, we're tired of it. We're tired of hearing your shit. It's time to do something. What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Help me out. The only thing that I knew at that time that was helping a lot was getting down on my knees, so that's what I kept on doing. And I started getting out of myself and getting unafraid to let people know who I was. I had been walking around these rooms and sitting at the tables, hiding for so long that I finally was able to sit in a meeting and say, man, you know, I hurt like hell, you know, and I don't know what to do about it. And I'm glad to be here just because you're all here, and because this is, you know, this is an okay place for me to be. This is a safe place for me to be. I can be alone here if I want to be. But looking around this room, I sure don't have to be. I've gone through some real changes in the last 8 months, real big, heavy-duty, you know, slap-in-the-face type changes, where I'm real aware of what's going on with me. I did get a sponsor when I moved to Indiana, and she's been terrific. And it was nice for me to finally get humble enough to need somebody else. And I was real grateful to not know all the answers. That was such a load off my shoulders, you know, and a knot out of my stomach that I didn't have to know all the answers. That somebody else could help me out with that stuff I didn't know. And one of the biggest things that we've worked on since she's been my sponsor is Wendy being okay with Wendy, and Wendy feeling real good about Wendy, and not getting up and beating myself up in the morning, and changing into something that I like, and being able to get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, you know, man, you look good today, you know, and I feel good today, and I really like me today, and that was real difficult for me to do. When I moved down to Indiana, I had a lot of fear because I did get into another relationship, and I wasn't real sure if that was the smartest thing for me to do. I didn't know if I could be any different with that person to depend on again. Fortunately, that person didn't like to be used as a leaning post. You know, and he told me that he loved me, you know, but he couldn't recover for me. And it hurt. You know, I kind of said, well, why not? It's so much easier that way, you know. So I started getting out of myself and started talking to other addicts, and started to have a little bit of recovery within myself, and got in touch with my own higher power, a power that I could relate to, that I could understand, and it could understand me back. And it started not to matter to me so much what everybody thought about me, how I looked, what I said. And that was one of the things I went through today, was a lot of fear about being judged. I thought, oh man, there's going to be all these recovering people out there, and they're just, you know, going to be sitting, you know, taking my inventory up and down. You know, and it was shared with me time and time again today that I didn't have to be afraid. Because there was going to be a lot of people out there that loved me and cared about me and accepted me the way that I am. And it wasn't until I started talking that started to sink in. You know, so I started to grow a lot. And I started to not be afraid of being by myself. One of the big things that I had to practice was, you know, going off in a room and sitting by myself and seeing if I could be okay. And seeing if I could be happy without, you know, people around me telling me that I was happy or doing things to make me happy. I know today that it doesn't work that way for me. If I'm not happy inside, nobody can make me happy. And if I'm not okay inside, nobody's going to make me okay unless I'm willing to take the help. Me and my higher power work a lot together today, and I'm real grateful for that. It feels real good to have that in my life, and know that it's working and have faith in it. I was lacking on a little bit of faith today, walking around here like a basket case with a big smile on my face. And, I took a meditation break about an hour before I had to come down here. And, I was sitting in my room and I thought, got down on my knees and said, just give me some strength and some courage and just, stand up there with me and hold my hand, because I need you with me. Because I don't have a message by myself. I get my message from my higher power in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. Without the addicts and the fellowship and my higher power, I don't have nothing. I am nothing without you guys. You've helped me get where I am today and gotten me out of myself and out of my fear and out of all that garbage. It's not like I don't have any character defects today, because I do. But I'm not so afraid of them anymore, and I don't run from them anymore. I did a little bit today, but I don't know, nervousness is not something I like to deal with. It makes me more nervous. I used to also be a real self-centered person. I didn't know what it was like to love anybody. I didn't know what it was like to give to anybody. And, what we read, at the beginning of the meetings, is we only can keep what we have by giving it away. I didn't think I had anything to give away, so I wanted to keep it all to myself. And I know that doesn't work for me today, and it can't work that way for me today. Because unless I share a little bit and let somebody share with me, I don't grow, I stay in one place. I need to know what other people are feeling and what they're going through, because it always turns out that I can relate. And today that feeling of love and that feeling of unity is what got me to come down here at 8 o'clock. I did not want to come down here. It was my higher power's will, but it wasn't mine. But that unity is fantastic. I was sharing with Jim before I got up here that I was just having this whole rush of emotions and stuff today. It's incredible, miracles do happen. I didn't think I could ever change. I didn't think I could ever get out of feeling bad. But I don't feel bad today. I'm real happy today. My life's fairly manageable today. I'm okay with being powerless today. I've seen, I can tell that I've grown because I've been riding up and down on these elevators, and listening to people go, man, another half hour to the 40th floor. I'm staying on the 42nd floor, and I've been up and down there about 6 times today, and I haven't had that feeling in my gut, like, I want to, take these buttons out of this elevator and just fly it up to the 42nd floor and get this over with. I've been real okay with kind of accepting that I'm powerless on those damn elevators, and that I'm going to get there in God's time, and I'm going to get done what I need to get done. Everybody's going to be here all weekend. I'm in no big rush. If I was in a real big rush to absorb everything that's here to absorb, I wouldn't get any of it. That's another thing that I've learned today for me that works, is that I need to slow down and take my time. Not too much time, but take some time. I did my 4-step about 6 months, before I really did my 5th step, and I ended up having to kind of go back and redo it all because so many things had changed. But that was a real turning point for me in my recovery, doing that. And for the first time of doing a 4-step, and this 4th and 5th step, and this is my 3rd one, I just couldn't get it right the other 2 times. I shared that stuff, and I didn't just, share it with someone to dump it on someone else and say, well, here, take this. I went there to learn something about myself, and I went there to find out who Wendy really was and what I needed to do and what I wanted to do. And I got a lot out of it the 3rd time, and I grew a lot because of it. And things started to change for me, and I started to be a happy human being and a recovering addict instead of just a clean addict. There's a definite difference for me today. There are some days that I'm clean and some days that I'm recovering. Most of them today I'm recovering, and I'm real grateful for that. I have a whole lot of gratitude right now. Gratitude for some people who I ran into purposely before the meeting started. They held my hand and gave me hugs and told me that they loved me, and told me that knot would dissolve. I've been walking around all day with this big muscle knot in my back, and it's not there. That's a miracle, and that's what I love the most about this fellowship. Is the loving and the caring and the true understanding and the true compassion of everybody in this room for one another. Without that, I'm a dead addict. I need that real bad today. As much as I like to get into my own isolation, I need it today. And some days that's real hard for me to admit. I have some real wonderful people in my life today around me, on a 24-hour basis. Not too long ago, I had a young girl that I sponsored put in, we had her move in with us, and our higher power kind of arranged that real nice. And I had a lot of fear about that because she reminded me a lot of me every time I looked at her. She was saying all the things I had said. She was doing all the things that I didn't want her to do. And I've grown a lot from her. And I'm real grateful that she's been there on those nights where I needed somebody to kick my ass and there was nobody else around to do it. It showed me that it works if we want it to work. And, James being here from Ireland, and Johnny and Jeremy, all these people from overseas. For me, that shows me that it can work anywhere if we want it to work. It doesn't matter where we are, who we are, what color we are, whatever. If we want it to work today, it's here and we can work it together. Boy, I'm just real overwhelmed. I know how to love today, too, and that's a real good feeling. I've been experiencing a lot of that lately in my life. That true loving for another person. There's someone out there, I don't know where he is, but I love him a lot because he gives me a lot of support. He doesn't do it for me. You know, but, you know, just like we do it together with other addicts, we do it together. We live life together, we love life together, and we share things together. And I'm so grateful that I know how to do that today. And I wouldn't know how if it wouldn't have been for this program. Narcotics Anonymous has given me my life back. Even though I chose to abuse that privilege for a lot of my clean time, I am recovering today. And it doesn't matter that I fucked up in the past. All that matters is what I'm doing today. I don't know. I'm starting to ramble because I think I'm running out of things to say, or things to think of to say. I'm real grateful tonight that my higher power gave me a message to carry. I have to run it back on tape and listen to it, I guess. You know, but I know that I felt a whole hell of a lot better. And, you know, that tells me that I'm doing it for me. And I'm not doing it to impress. I'm not doing it to inflate my ego that's real easily inflatable. That I'm doing it for me. It wasn't really something, I guess, that I wanted to do once the time got here. But one thing that I always remember when something comes up that I don't want to do is that a lot of the things that I need to do for me in my recovery I don't want to do, but I have to do them anyway. At least if I want to recover today. You know, that's the one thing that was told to me is I don't have to do anything. You know, but if I want what the people around me have, I do have to do those things. And I'm grateful that I do them today. I don't know, I'm real honored to be here, and I'm real grateful that everyone was so nice and quiet and let me share with you because it's helped me a lot. And I love y'all a lot, thanks.